anytime.
Hi, my name is Leoma Gilley, and I've written a book called Launching into the Unknown. It's the first book of my memoir series, Not How I Planned It, because that's kind of how my life went. I was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I was the only child that my parents dared to have. And I grew up basically in a life of privilege. My parents were word people, especially my mother. She was an editor, and she loved words, and so we played word games on traveling back and forth to town. It was about a half an hour drive every day. And so she would say, when I was mispronouncing a word, she would say, "Watch my mouth." That was kind of a joke in the family because as I went to college, I ended up as a speech therapist, and I said, "Watch my mouth" a lot. I had been intrigued with languages and used to make up my own languages just to pretend like I was fluent in them. And one evening I was at a church dinner and somebody said, "What do you do for a living?" And I said, "I'm a speech therapist." And they said, "Oh, you mean like phonetics and stuff?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, you'd be interested in Wycliffe." And I said, "What's Wycliffe?" He said, "Oh, they do Bible translation with phonetics and stuff." Well, I was fairly intrigued by that, so they were having a presentation within a few weeks, and so I went along, and I was again challenged with the opportunity of helping provide the scriptures for a language group that didn't have it. Didn't have them because it had made such a huge difference in my life. I wanted to offer that gift to others. And the long and short of that is that I eventually did join Wycliffe Bible Translators and worked with SIL International. I had always been afraid God would send me to Africa as a missionary, and lo and behold, that's where I ended up. I wasn't planning on going to the Sudan. I was planning on going to Kenya, which sounded a much more civilized place. But the Lord had other ideas. So I ended up in the Sudan. First challenge I had there was to learn Arabic. And so I speak Arabic, but I don't read it. And then my job became to help the Shilluk people. They had a New Testament in their language, but nobody could read it, including the people who had written it. So I was supposed to figure out why. Was it because they needed classes, or because there was an issue with the writing system? Well, that turned into a long project, which I'm still working on. And so that's been over 20 years. It's one of the more complicated languages in the world. And I've often wondered if we shouldn't just go to the Chinese system of pictographs. They break a lot of rules of what's expected of a language. Most languages have long vowels and short vowels, and Shilluk has long vowels and short vowels and extra long vowels. So many of the things that you expect, that's not what they do. They do something else. And so it's a very interesting and challenging work to be doing. Now, if you've heard all that, you realize that as I started out as a speech therapist and I ended up as a missionary, that was not exactly what I had planned. And that's why I decided I wanted to write this book, was to help people see the side of the Sudan that I saw. We hear about wars and civil wars and genocide and all kinds of usually bad things, famines and disasters that are happening in that country. But I got to know the people, and I learned so much from them, and about patience, perseverance, creativity, um, laughter, and the importance of humor to cope with stress. And so I wanted to share that in my book so that other people could get to know the amazing people, the beautiful and bewildering world of the Sudanese.